So here is my 1999 Quality Farm and Fleet riding mower. This one has, well, originally had a 12-horse flathead Briggs, but that engine blew up earlier this year, so it's been upgraded to a 16-horse Intech, which that could also be a downgrade because the Intechs are junk. But this has been a really good mower. But it's the only riding mower I have right now. I've had a few others on and off, like those LTs back there. I had a Cub Cadet GT for a little bit, and probably some other ones. I know I had a MTD Yardman for a little while as well. But those are mostly residential machines, with the exception of the Cub Cadet. But the Cub Cadet was worn out when I got it, so it's about time I get something a bit nicer. So I was in the market for a new riding mower, and I wanted to get a lawn tractor, a really nice lawn tractor, but everything was out of my price range. I had to look. I had to look at a good bit of the stuff from John Deere. I wanted to get a John Deere lawn or garden tractor, but the prices were outrageous, and it seems like this day with John Deere, you just pay for the paint, and the product's just like the quality of an old John Deere product. It used to be there, and at one point in time, John Deere had a really good lawn tractor. Their LT series, which had nothing to do with Craftsman's LT line, was pretty good. The LT 155, 133, 190, those were all really good tractors. And I actually looked at a LT 190 with a 50-inch deck and a 14 horsepower Kawasaki. And the Kawasaki was what really sold me on that mower. And I was really close to buying it for a nice low price of $400. And then I held off because someone else had a John Deere 318. And I also wanted to get a John Deere 318 because those are somewhat childhood. My uncle, who lives up in Monroe, he mowed his property for a long time with a John Deere 318. And that I have fond memories of using that tractor. It's one of the first ones I used. Actually, a majority of the tractors I remember from my childhood driving were John Deere. It was a mix of that one, a John Deere LT 155 my grandparents had, and a John Deere, well, my phone just got a notification, and a John Deere LA 250, which I think was a mix between a garden tractor or something. I don't know too much because I can't find information about it, but it had, it was pretty much like a shaft drive LT with four-wheel steering, with a owned and opposed on it, Linamar branded actually, and that was a nice mower too. I have a lot of hours on that one, I would say, out of all of them. But the 318 was one of my favorites, because I liked how it sounded. I had the same engine as the LA250, but that thing really ran good. It cut really well. I liked the hydrostatic transmission on it. It seemed to be a lot smoother than the other two tractors. And I just liked how it looked. I liked the square front end. I don't know what year that particular 318 was made, but I would have to say probably around the late 80s. I know those mowers had a good run for a little while, but yeah, but he had that one for a little while, and then when I believe the flywheel on it, like I think flywheel spacer or something, he told me something about it, but something on the engine went catastrophically wrong, and he had over 1,500 hours on that mower. He decided to replace it, and he bought a Skag 60-inch Turf Tiger zero turn with a 25-horse Kohler Command V-twin, which he still has to this day. And it was the first zero turn I ever used, and that thing runs really good. So good for that mower or whatever. And he can get the property mowed a lot quicker with that thing. So yeah. And I was going to buy that 318. I had a look at it, and it wasn't in good a shape as I thought. It had the tractor tires on the back, which were a plus. It had two mower decks, 42 and a 50-inch. It had a snowplow and a rear tiller. It had a rear PTO setup on it as well for the rear tiller. So it was pretty well packed. 1,500 for it. So I was about to go with that, and then they had issues with the Onan opposed twin engine that was on that mower, and then at that point I decided to opt out of the of buying the mower. So then I went with looking for something new. So I started doing research. I was thinking I wanted to get an AYP, like a Craftsman or something. Craftsman, they have switched OEMs from AYP. Well, it was Husqvarna, but they switched OEMs from Husqvarna over to MTD, so Craftsman wasn't an option. So I looked at Husqvarna, because that's the closest thing to an AYP, and their machines looked pretty fine, but there wasn't one spec'd for what I wanted it to do. I wanted something with a Kawasaki, and or a large Kohler, but mostly everything had Briggs & Stratton Intex on it, which I wasn't going to go with one of those, because that wouldn't hold up for what I need. Plus, I didn't want to use a lawn tractor. So I started looking at zero turns, and I've had really good experience with Toro. When I bought that mower a few years back in 2019, I loved it. And then I got this one. I love it too. These Toro Super Recyclers, they're tanks. They're really good mowers, and they're worth the money. I would say the modern ones these days, it looks like you can only get them with the Briggs. I got this one with the Predator, and this is probably my favorite spec option. It has the personal pace self-propel, but no electric start, none of the extra gizmos, so not really anything to fail on it. These engines are easy to work on compared to the modern Briggs with the plastic carburetors. So, yeah, so Toro was the first one I looked at, and I wanted this really small zero turn. I wanted to get a 38-inch. Toro doesn't have a 38-inch, but they have a 34-inch time cutter with a 22-inch Kohler V-twin, and I really wanted to get that, but I'm not sure how I feel about the modern Kohler engines, so I had to do a bit of research. They seem to be just fine, but I didn't want that engine to be a piece of junk like the Kohler Courage was. I ran a few of those. I had a Husky and a Cub Cadet with those, and with that engine in it, and I had a lot of engine issues with both of those, and either issues with it not choking the right way. Its integrated choke system is a bit weird, and yeah, but I had some closer look at the modern Kohler, so I was really set on getting a Kawasaki. I was thinking of jumping up to the 42-inch time cutter, because that one had a Kawasaki as an option. Kohler's the only option, but you could get a Kawasaki for the 42-inch, and then you could actually get the stamped steel deck version with a V-twin Lonson on it, which that would have also been a good option. But with the Lonsons, there's some issues with the throttle setup on those. If you jump up really from low to high throttle like quickly, those engines like to stall. Because my uncle has one of those, and I would say the engine is kind of confusing to use at some points in time because of that throttle setup, and it stalled out on him a few times. It's a bit of an inconvenience. It's not a bad engine. It's just something how they made it run like that. So, don't really have anything against that, but I kind of mess with the throttle a good bit while I'm mowing, because if I'm going by a flower bed, I'm gonna want to throttle the mower down so I don't blow grass into the flower bed. So, that was an issue. That one of the reasons why I kind of went away from getting one with a Lonson. And also, I wanted to get the fabricated, their patented iron forged deck, or whatever. So I was gonna look at that. I went to go see the 34-inch in the dealers yesterday. I went to my local dealers, which I'm going to give a shout out to. Doc's Lawn Equipment in Massillon, Ohio. And clean that off so you can actually see. And like this dealership, when I went to go buy the mower, I went in there. They were really straightforward with telling me, hey, you need this, this, and this. This mower would be good for blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And then they sold me the mower. And I've had no issues with it. And it's probably not just the dealer. I could probably blame it more on Toro for making a great machine. But having a good experience with a dealership is always nice. I wouldn't recommend going out and buying a push mower from Walmart or Lowe's or the Home Depot or to Menards or any sort of other store, I feel like if you go to a big box store, you're going to have some issues in terms with warranty stuff and a machine being put together. I've read a lot of reviews, and I'm actually going to get to that a bit later. But I was looking at a few other mowers they had. They had a used Toro with a Lonson on it, time cutter. It was about $1,000 less than the brand new mower, the one 38-inch deck, but it was a 42, but had a bagger and all this stuff with it, so I was thinking about it, but I wanted to go with something new because I know warranty and stuff. So after that, I went to a different dealership that sold Ariens, because I've had good experience with Ariens stuff, and I wanted to have a look at one of their mowers. And they had one of these left. They had a, I think it's an Ariens Icon XT, and pretty much I was really impressed with the build on it. There's a lot of things I liked about it, and the build quality is amazing. The machine was crazy comfortable, which I feel like comfort is one of the things that's overlooked when buying a riding mower. Saying, oh, it's just a riding mower, comfort's not really that important. And a good seat on a riding mower is going to make a difference in the long run. If you're mowing grass with it day in and day out, your back will get sore with a really hard seat that doesn't have suspension and stuff. I don't need a full one of those suspension assisted riding mowers, but I just need a seat that's somewhat comfortable, and that's pretty much one of the things I liked about the Ariens. But the main reason why I love the Ariens is it had a 16-horse Kawasaki on it, and I was almost sold instantly on that mower because of the Kawasaki. That's a really good, reliable engine, blah, blah, blah. It sounds good, too, which, if you're going to be using a machine, you might as well use something that you like the sound of, which also does sound a lot better than the modern Briggs. The exhaust tone coming out of one of these super cyclers is just amazing. I would say the Quantum series are kind of boring, but they're so reliable. I would take reliability over a good sounding exhaust. But I was getting close to getting the Ariens, and I had to look at some of the specs, and I looked up a lot about it. And the mower, I feel like it could be good for commercial use, but the thing that wasn't really good about it was the transmissions it used. I don't remember the exact model, but they used non-serviceable residential grade transmissions. So did the Toro. But the Toro, they at least give you a fill spout and drain or whatever, so you can change the trans fluid if you have any issues with it. The Ariens, it's all non-serviceable junk. So I wasn't really a fan of that. But the Toro, you can actually work on the transmissions. So I instantly went with the Toro. But the thing I also liked about the Ariens is it had a manual brake on it, and an hour meter included, which an hour meter is always an important thing. The Toro, it has provisions for an hour meter. It has a spot in the wiring harness to hook up an hour meter. So, yeah, I was gonna get that. I wanted to get the Ariens because, like, it was the same price. It was a bit of a bigger deck. So yeah, that's cool. Looked at it a bit more, and I noticed this when I was there, but I didn't see it too closely. And I went online and started watching some videos and stuff of this mower, and I discovered it uses a smaller battery. It uses like a motorcycle battery, which that's a big no-no for me. A battery like that, it's going to cost a lot to replace. It has a hard time fitting inside of them, I don't know. It's hard to get to and stuff with how everything is set up in there. And I was like, nope, I'm not getting one of those if it has that type of battery. It needs to have a traditional battery. And yet this Craftsman LT, it has a normal traditional battery. And the Toro did as well. So, at that point, I immediately went with the Toro. Both of the mowers, they don't have a hitch on the back to attach a trailer to, which is sad. So what I was going to do is I actually have an extended hitch piece on that Craftsman, and I'm going to figure out how to weld that onto the Toro in hopes that it doesn't void warranty. I believe you can get a hitch kit for both mowers, though, if you wanted to. And I also test drove both the machines. I would say the Ariens it rode a lot nicer. The Toro was really nice, too. It has a speed control, a free speed control, which is nice. a slow mode, a tilling mode, and then a fast mode. And that's kind of a cool feature. The Ariens, it's just all or nothing. I might also have a look at this in the future, because Gravely, which is a sister company to Ariens, well, they're the same thing, and I'm pretty sure Ariens might have a counterpart as well, but they have a 38-inch zero-turn as well. But those don't seem to be very common in terms of specs and stuff, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get one of those or not. So I'll have a look around. But I have a feeling those use the same residential transmissions that are non-serviceable, much like the Icon 42, so just wasn't going to mess around with it. And I also had a look at a residential zero-turn Ariens had. I think it was the Edge model. I thought Edge was a model of an Encore mower, but I'm not sure. But I had a look at that mower, and I wanted to get it, but the only engine option for it was Intech V-twin, and for the price point, yeah, I would definitely get it, even if it has those non-serviceable transmissions, because of how cheap the mower was. But I'm not getting it with an Intech, because I feel like the engine would go before anything else, and by the time I spend some extra money, buy Kawasaki or a Lonson or a Predator or some sort of other engine for it, there was going to be issues with the transmissions, like after I put a few hours on the new engine, and that just doesn't seem like it's worth the money. But one of the things I'm going to do with the Ariens, not the Ariens, the Toro, when I get it, I'm getting it a week from today, actually less than a week. I'm going to put a I'm going to buy an hour meter online, or see if I can buy one directly from Toro or something, and then I'm going to put that on the mower. I'll talk to the dealer about it. I forgot to ask him. And another thing is, because it is a 34-inch deck, it's really small. The wheels are really skinny. So I'm not really sure how the traction would be. I might have to upgrade to some more aggressive tires in the future, but it looks like a non-traditional tire size, which I'm not really too fond of. I used a 30-inch Snapper Lawn Cruiser zero-turn for a little while before the engine on it blew up. And that thing was pretty similar, with this very skinny tires on the back, and not much of a trimming edge. Like, the mower deck was flush with the wheels, pretty much like how it is on a push mower. Like how there's, like, the deck doesn't hang over that much from the wheels. So it was like that. So it's all just about looking at the right machine, figuring out what features I want, blah blah blah. So, still looking. We're going to figure this out, and there'll be another video when I get it. I think I've explained pretty much all my concerns, but I've been going back and forth between two different machines. I know it's a bit too late, but I might also get a chance to look back at John Deere again. There is a John Deere dealership, I know, but they were closed at the day when I went, so I might have a look at some of their zero-turns. Because I know someone that has a John Deere zero-turn, and they've had good experience with it. And it has a Kawasaki V-twin on it, too. So that's another thing that's going to be an option. Will be John Deere, maybe. But once again, I know in terms of getting parts and stuff for John Deere, it's not really the best thing. It's kind of a hard thing. And I don't want to get a model that will come obscure or something in the later years, because I mentioned earlier in a video a John Deere LA250 lawn or garden tractor. I don't even know what it is. And John Deere supplies service kits for their mowers at their dealerships, where you can buy a service kit, and it comes with the oil filter, spark plugs, fuel filter, air filter, etc. And you think it would be easy to just get everything for one mower and stuff. And I would think it would use the same service kit as a John Deere 318, but apparently it's a different one, because it has a different air filter box on it or something like that. So, when my grandpa goes into the John Deere dealership to get a service kit, he has to call in ahead of time and get it actually special ordered from John Deere, because it's such an obscure machine. So I don't want to get a mower that's going to be obscure in like 4 years that they only sold like 300 units of. I want to still get something where I can find parts for. Another thing is if the hood on that John Deere breaks, good luck finding a hood for it, because I don't know if it's really going to be the same thing. It looks like it has the same hood as a GX series John Deere. I think it's a GX series, or maybe a X series, maybe it's an XT. I don't know what it is. It's the series that followed after that one that was sold throughout the mid 2000s, and my grandma's neighbor actually has one. I think it's an X304 is what she has, but it has a similar hood, and it looks like it would fit. So maybe you can find parts like that, but I'm pretty sure like engine mounting stuff for the frame, electrical stuff, that's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. So if I get a mower, I want to make sure it's something that's not going to be obscure. The Toro 34-inch time cutter has been out for a bit now, and the models haven't seemed to change, so I don't think I would be really worried about finding replacement parts for it. The dealership that I went to, they said that they have sold a good bit of those mowers so far. They're really good for a residential person who has a small yard, and a lot of people have actually been buying those mowers commercially, even though that is a residential mower. But compared to the Ariens, they did a pretty good job with the designing. The mower deck on the 34-inch time cutter is amazing. It's really solid. The build of the whole entire mower is solid. It has a lot of storage, so if you are has a storage thing underneath the seat, and it has a storage thing off to the side, and another storage thing off to the other side. So if you're mowing commercially, doing a yard or something, and you find like a dog toy or something in the yard, you can pick it up and put it in there, and then you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. But when I get the mower, I'll make a video of it. I might even get a 42-inch. I've not decided yet. If they have a 42-inch variant in stock with a Kawasaki, I'll probably get that mower. But as of right now, most likely it's going to be the 34-inch with the 22-horse Kohler. So we'll see what happens. And I will say, please don't let me down, Toro. I love your Super Recycler push mowers. And even your base model recyclers, they're still really good mowers for the price. So if it's anything like these, please just make it be a good mower. I'm going to be very disappointed if the mower is a piece of junk. So thank you very much for watching, and keep the breeze.